Chapter 22: The Six Principles of Smarter Exercise. Gradually, weightlifting changed the way I looked. The alteration was not dramatic, but I loved it. My back became broader, which made my hips look smaller. My arms and legs are firmer and more shapely. I never grew big muscles, but they are defined. You can see their outlines. And I feel different too, more confident in my body's strength and of my ability to do almost any movement in daily life with little effort. Gina Colada, New York Times. Principle 1: Exercise more muscle to get more results. Why do people ride bikes to burn body fat instead of drawing pictures of bikes to burn body fat? After all, both activities exercise muscles. We choose to ride a bike because doing so exercises more muscles, our large leg muscles, than drawing bikes, our small hand muscles. The more muscles exercised, the better our results. Traditional exercise has that much right. However, we can do a lot better. Just as we get better results in less time by working more muscles within our body, we get even better results in even less time by concentrating our efforts on exercising more of the individual fibers that make up our muscles. Boston University researchers found that when we engage in exercise that works more muscle fibers, we exercise the uniquely clog-clearing muscle fibers called type 2B muscle fibers, which have a previously underappreciated role in regulating whole body metabolism, or unclogging. Because of that role, the researchers concluded that strength training might be even more important for overweight people. So, how do you activate these and all the rest of your muscle fibers? The answer may surprise you. The best strategy is to exercise less but smarter. Here's how this works. Just as you have different muscles to do different things, your biceps help move your arms and your hamstrings help move your legs, you also have different muscle fibers to perform different roles within the tissue that makes up your muscles. For instance, the type 1 or slow twitch fibers in your arms, your legs, and every other muscle group enable you to move with a little force for many hours. They keep you walking around all day. On the other hand, type 2 or fast twitch fibers enable you to move with a lot of force for a little bit of time. They enable you to lift furniture briefly, and they come in three forms: type 2A, type 2X, and type 2B, each getting progressively stronger, larger, and hormonally helpful. Just as our stronger, larger leg muscles help us to burn more fat than our smaller, weaker hand muscles, our stronger, larger type 2 fibers help us burn more fat than our weaker type 1 fibers. Similarly, much as we engage more muscle groups when we lift a heavy object, for example, we lift heavy boxes with our legs, back, and arms, while we lift light boxes with only our arms, we also use more muscle fibers the heavier the object we move. We use our type 1 and all type 2 fibers when we do smarter exercise, while we only use our type 1 fibers when we jog. When we put all of this together, we arrive at a surprising and encouraging conclusion. The more resistance we use, the more muscle fibers we work, the more energy we use, the faster we run out of energy, the more sore we get, and therefore the less exercise we can or need to do in terms both of duration, exercising for only about 10 minutes, and frequency, once or twice per week, to burn fat and boost our health long term. For instance, we can't hold a heavy box, a lot of muscle fibers worked, as long or as often as we can hold a light box. A few muscle fibers worked. This means that the choice between exercising more but with less resistance and exercising less but with more resistance is clear. If we choose to follow the traditional guidelines and to exercise more, we have to pick an exercise that requires a little force, engages few muscle fibers, and requires a little energy. We then do this exercise for a long period of time before we run out of energy and we get just a little hormonal benefit. Further, it doesn't make us particularly sore as it wasn't particularly difficult, so we are compelled to do it frequently. However, if we choose to exercise smarter, i.e., with more resistance, we pick an exercise that requires a lot of force, many muscle fibers, and a lot of energy. We then run out of energy in a short period of time and we achieve dramatic hormonal benefits. We also get quite sore and are unable to do it frequently. In short, we get more results in less time. As researchers at the Human Performance Laboratory at Adelphi University clearly state, there is little scientific evidence and no theoretical physiological basis to suggest that a greater volume of exercise elicits greater increases in strength or hypertrophy, aka muscle development. Is this strategy a way of cutting corners? I don't think so. When we think about the class genius who aces her test in half of the time it takes others to get a C, we don't say she's cutting corners. We say she's smart. We're smart too, and that's why we're going to exercise smarter. So, why do so many other programs suggest that we work fewer muscle fibers for longer periods of time via conventional cardio? Sadly, for the same reasons so many diet programs suggest starving ourselves. They are rooted in the calorie myths. They are focused on mythical metabolism math and manually burning more calories. They fight against your set point and therefore fail for 19 out of 20 of us long term. Finally, it's important to note that exercising with more resistance doesn't mean that you have to put more stress on your joints. The techniques that follow will allow you to increase resistance and maximize the results of your workout without increasing the impact on your body. These exercises are safer than the high impact cardio activities many people embrace, such as running. So let's focus on increasing your results while decreasing your risk for injury and also decreasing the amount of time you spend at the gym. Principle 2. Focus on hormones instead of calories. Traditional exercise is all about burning calories. In case you haven't noticed, recent research reveals traditional exercise is all wrong. Smarter exercise ignores the quantity of calories burned during the 1% or less of your life spent exercising. It focuses instead on how you exercise, which is to say, what muscle fibers you engage, and on triggering more clog clearing hormones to help you live better for the other 99% of your life. All you need to harness these hormones is to apply the first principle. Exercise with more resistance to work more muscle to get more results. Why should you focus on hormones instead of calories when exercising? One of the reasons your body slows down and burns muscle before it burns fat is that burning body fat is hard. Until you get the right combination of hormones, you are not burning through anything meaningful other than time and muscle tissue. The other reason is that your body does not want to burn fat unless it has no other option. It is unfortunate for our waistlines, but it makes perfect survival sense. Your body stores fat to protect you from starving. If it readily burns fat, it can't protect you. Hard to do plus do not want to do generally equals it's not happening. That is, unless your body has no other option. The way to achieve this is simple. Require your body to expend a huge amount of energy quickly. Use more resistance. Exercise smarter. Work all muscle fibers. As you know, when your body needs a lot of energy, it can do four things: make you eat more, slow down, burn muscle, burn fat. However, when you exercise with a lot of resistance, you eliminate three of these options. Making us eat more will not work because digestion takes a long time. It's too late to slow us down because the energy demands have already been made. Burning muscle is out of the question since smarter exercise stimulates muscle rather than destroying it. Left with no other option, our body is forced to produce hormones such as epinephrine, adrenaline, noradrenaline, growth hormone, etc., which free up energy stored as body fat. Please keep in mind that increasing the frequency or duration of exercise does not yield the same result as increasing the resistance used while exercising. More frequent or longer workouts are akin to a martial artist trying to break four progressively thicker boards by gently tapping on them more. Breaking through those boards is about higher quality or force, not higher quantity, duration, and frequency of gentle taps. With one focused, quick, safe, and intense strike, the martial artist will achieve something no quantity of lower quality taps could ever accomplish. Similarly, with one focused, quick, safe, and intense workout, you will achieve something no quantity of conventional lower quality exercise ever could. You will break, in a healthy way, each of your progressively stronger muscle fibers and achieve a set point lowering reaction no quantity of lower quality exercise ever could. New heading. Principle 3: increase resistance and reduce frequency to increase results. If we have more hair cut off when we get a haircut, we can get haircuts less often. That's not some too good to be true gimmick, that's common sense. The more hair we cut off, the more time needed to grow it back. Similarly, if you exercise more muscle, you can exercise less often because more time is required to recover. How long your muscles take to recover is a great way to tell if you are in fact exercising smarter. If you are able to exercise on Monday and then do the exact same thing 1 or 2 days later, you are not activating all of your muscle fibers. If Monday's workout used enough resistance to exercise all of your muscle fibers, they will not be ready to go again 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 days later. Type 2B muscle fibers need at least 6 days to recover. If you are exercising frequently, you are either not exercising with a lot of resistance or you're not giving your clog clearing hormones enough time to do their job. Either way, you're spending more time exercising and burning less body fat long term. Enough of that. Let's do a little smarter exercise and then let our unclogged bodies do the rest. Principle 4: lower weights to lower your weight. Smarter exercise does not require lifting weights. You are going to focus on lowering weights. Every resistance exercise has two parts: lifting the resistance, for example, standing up, and lowering the resistance, for example, sitting down. Lifting the resistance is called the concentric portion of the exercise. Concentric is when the muscle contracts. Lowering the resistance is called the eccentric portion of the exercise. Eccentric is when the muscle extends. Lifting weights, the concentric action, gets more attention in muscle magazines, but lowering weights, the eccentric action, gets more results in studies and in the real world. While lifting weights helps boys to feel like men, safely and slowly lowering weights enables us to use up to 40% more resistance. That enables more muscle fibers to be worked and more clog clearing hormones to be triggered. That means more results in less time. For example, researchers at the Department of Physical Therapy at the University of British Columbia found that eccentric training performed at high intensities was shown to be more effective in promoting increases in muscle. Focusing on the eccentric or lowering portion of resistance training works so well because it safely allows your muscles to generate more force. To test this principle, walk up a flight of stairs and then walk back down. Notice how the trip down was easier? This is because your muscles are literally stronger while doing the eccentric or lowering actions on the way down. Or, if you want to take this test one step further and eliminate the influence of gravity, hop onto a seated row or chest press machine, or any exercise that moves horizontally and therefore doesn't rely on gravity, and select a weight that you cannot lift with one arm but can easily with two arms. Lift it with two arms and then cautiously relax one arm and observe how you are able to lower the resistance with one arm. You couldn't lift the weight with one arm, but you could lower it with one arm. Why? Because as Dr. Neil Reeves, PhD, of Manchester Metropolitan University tells us, muscles are capable of developing much higher forces when they contract eccentrically compared with when they contract concentrically. Once you understand this principle, you can see why it is less effective to focus on lifting resistance. Think of it a bit like writing with your non-dominant hand. It works, but you know how your body best operates, so why not leverage that to do better work in less time? We'll cover specifically how in a few sections. Principle 5. Reduce time exercising to reduce body fat. This novel time-efficient training paradigm can be used as a strategy to reduce metabolic risk factors in young and middle-aged sedentary populations who would otherwise not adhere to time-consuming traditional aerobic exercise. Dr. John Babraj, Herat-Watt University. As we covered earlier, the more muscle we exercise, the more energy we use, and the less exercise we can do. This point is extremely important and is worth rephrasing and repeating because everything you've ever been told revolves around exercise more. Exercise more. Why aren't you exercising more? Here's the truth. We have a limited amount of energy. If exercise Y takes 5 minutes to use up our energy, but exercise X takes an hour to use up our energy, then exercise Y uses much more muscle and is much more metabolically beneficial than exercise X. We will be doing smarter exercise for just a few minutes per week because it's physically impossible to do a lot of smarter exercise. We simply run out of energy and the body shuts down whether we like it or not. And if you have the choice to use up your energy in 5 minutes or in an hour, I don't know about you, but I'll take 5 minutes of exercise over an hour of exercise any day. The best way to exercise smarter is the eccentric training that we just covered and will dig deeper into momentarily. However, if you do enjoy using cardio machines such as stationary bikes or ellipticals, you can do those smarter, aka with more resistance as well. Let's call this smarter interval training. Experts at Pennington Biomedical Research Center have found that interval training stimulates the body to improve insulin sensitivity more than low quality, high quantity cardiovascular exercise. In order to tap into that smarter cardio response, we have to update the way that we think about cardiovascular exercise. Contrary to popular belief, cardiovascular exercise and resistance exercise are not completely different. Traditional cardiovascular exercises are just resistance training exercises that require little force and work only your weakest muscle fibers. For example, say you get on a leg press resistance training machine, add no resistance, and move your legs up and down for 30 minutes. Did you just do resistance training or cardiovascular exercise? Your hormones don't care. Your muscles did not have to generate much force, so you did nothing to lower your set point. Or say you get on a stair stepper cardiovascular exercise machine, add no resistance, and move your legs up and down for 30 minutes. Did you do resistance training or cardiovascular exercise? Again, your muscles don't care. Now, let's say you get on a stationary bike, increase the resistance so much that the only way you can generate enough force to move the pedals is to stand up as you pedal, much like if you were climbing a hill. And then let's say that you pedal as hard as you can for 30 seconds, at which point you have to stop because you're out of energy. Did you do resistance training, cardiovascular exercise, neither, both, or it doesn't matter? Your muscles had to generate a lot of force, and therefore you triggered the hormonal reaction you're after. Answer: it doesn't matter. Your body doesn't care about resistance training versus cardiovascular training. It responds in terms of how many muscle fibers an exercise works. So the question then becomes, how do we use more muscle fiber while doing cardiovascular exercise? Easy. Give your muscles more resistance. Perform smarter interval training. That's how exercising less leads to fat loss and cardiovascular health. Brian Irving, PhD, of the University of Virginia, took two groups of women and had them do traditional cardiovascular exercise or smarter cardiovascular exercise. The two groups burned the same number of calories exercising, but the smarter exercise group spent significantly less time exercising while also losing significantly more body fat. Researchers at McMaster University separated people into smarter cardio groups and traditional cardio groups. Over the course of the 2-week study, the smarter group exercised for 2.5 hours in total, while the traditional exercise group exercised for 10.5 hours in total. At the end of the study, both groups got the same results, even though the smarter exercise group spent 320% less time exercising than the traditional exercise group. The researchers summarized their findings like this: "We thought there would be benefits, but we did not expect them to be this obvious. It shows how effective short, intense exercise can be." Many more studies show the same encouraging results and further prove that hours spent exercising are unnecessary when compared with smarter exercise. Consider just this small sample. A study at Harvard University found vigorous activities are associated with a reduced risk of coronary heart disease, whereas moderate or light activities have no clear association with the risk of coronary heart disease. A study at Stanford University found that the intensity of effort was more important than the quantity of energy output in deterring hypertension and preventing premature mortality. Another study from Harvard found that there is an inverse association between relative intensity of physical activity and the risk of coronary heart disease. The American Heart Association noted that vigorous intensity activities may have greater benefit for reducing cardiovascular disease and premature mortality than moderate intensity physical activities. Researchers at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology discovered that exercise training reduces the impact of metabolic syndrome, the clog, and that the magnitude of the effect depends on exercise intensity. Even day to day cardiovascular benefits, like not being out of breath after walking up a few flights of stairs, are achieved faster with smarter exercise. Edward Coyle, PhD, in the Department of Kinesiology and Health Education at the University of Texas, found that interval training produced a marked increase in aerobic endurance among untrained people, serving as, in his words, a dramatic reminder of the potency of exercise intensity. Vigorous intensity exercise has been shown to increase aerobic fitness more effectively than moderate intensity exercise, and this fact hints at its greater cardioprotective effects as well. If you like doing cardio, then smarter interval training has clearly emerged as the best way to spend your time. You can trade quantity for quality and get more for less by increasing the force of your exercise. Again, we'll cover exactly how to do this in a few sections. Principle 6. Heal, don't hurt yourself. Given how little time eccentric and smarter interval training takes, a common reaction to this new approach to exercise is, sounds good, I'll just add that to my existing routine. That might not necessarily be a bad approach depending on your existing routine, but to ensure that you spend your time healing rather than harming yourself, it's critical to keep 4 things in mind. 1. Unless it is very low intensity and low impact activity, such as walking or yoga or playing with your children, more isn't better, it's worse. 2. Spare time is best spent on sleep, increasing the sanity of your eating, and then on restorative and recreational activities. 3. The safest and most sustainable way to increase intensity is to increase resistance while decreasing speed. 4. Protect your time, money, and peace of mind. Let's dig into each one of these in more detail. New heading. More isn't better, it's worse. Imagine that you recently had a major surgery and have been prescribed a cutting-edge prescription that helps you heal. Your surgeon tells you to take 1 dose per week. At 1 dose per week, this prescription will make you quite sore, but you will benefit in ways that are hard to believe until you experience them. She then informs you that because of its high potency, it is critical not to increase the dose. You get it. You keep your recovery simple. You stay patient while your body heals itself. And you enjoy a healthier and happier version of yourself for the rest of your life because of it. Smarter exercise is similar. Owing to its high potency, more is not better, it's worse. There are few areas in life where you have the opportunity to do less and get more. Pharmacology and physiology are 2 of them. Take advantage of this opportunity. You have access to the world's most powerful exercise prescription for hormonal healing. Please take it as prescribed. Keep your recovery simple. Stay patient. Let your body heal itself, and then enjoy a healthier and happier version of yourself for the rest of your life because of it. New heading. Spare time is best spent on sleep and enjoyable activities. If you want to use the spare time freed up thanks to exercising less but smarter on your health, you would be best served spending it in order of benefit. 1. Sleeping more. I know this seems like common sense, but consider one of the most frequently prescribed methods recommended to burn fat and supposedly boost health. Sleep less, exercise more. Specifically, Hormonally clogged, sleep deprived, and overstressed individuals are told to wake up early to further stress their body. This worsens their hormonal clog. Telling us to wake up at 4 a.m. so that we can jog for an hour is like telling someone who just broke an ankle to stop icing it and then to go jump up and down on it. Remember, a broken metabolism really is like a broken ankle. It heals itself when we put less stress on it, not more. Sleeping less increases stress. Traditional exercise increases stress. Starvation increases stress. That's why you're going to eat more, but saner, and exercise less, but smarter, and take the time you save and spend it sleeping. We're going to figuratively rest, ice, elevate, and do a little physical therapy to enable our broken metabolism to heal itself. 2. Increase the quality or sanity of your eating. Think of creative ways to maximize your intake of exceptionally sane foods such as deep leafy greens, seafood, grass-fed meats, cocoa, cacao, coconut, acai berries, goji berries, green tea, etc. Remember, the quality and sanity of the food you eat is at least 90% of the long-term health and fitness equation. 3. Enjoying low intensity and low impact restorative and relaxing activities such as walking, recreational biking, yoga, Pilates, stretching, Tai Chi, meditation, Qigong, or play. Moving more is wonderful for you as long as it reduces stress. Do about a half hour of eccentric and smarter interval training per week, and then focus the rest of your exercise time on restorative and enjoyable physical activity. 4. Doing exercise-related hobbies, such as jogging or going to an aerobics class with friends in moderation. If a moderate amount of traditional exercise helps you reduce stress and makes you happy, then by all means enjoy it. However, please do not let it have a negative impact on your smarter exercise, sane eating, sleep, or emotional state. Here's what not to do. Sleep less so that you can jog for 2 hours on hard pavement while breathing in car exhaust. Then quench your thirst with a sports drink whose primary ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. Then eat a plate of pasta and breadsticks because of your post-jog ravenous starchy carb cravings. Then treat yourself to some ice cream since you deserve it for jogging. Sleep even less the next night because of the insomnia those insane foods caused. Wake up the next day feeling terrible, skip your eccentric exercise because your joints hurt from running on pavement, then binge on insane sweets because you are overstressed, and then max out your credit card buying diet pills that promise to make everything better because you feel that despite trying harder, you are doing worse. You are not broken. The eat less, then sleep less so you can exercise more and spend more fixing the problem you just created approach is what's broken. Go smarter, not harder, and you will transform your life more simply and affordably than you ever thought possible. New heading: Increase resistance while decreasing speed. Every few years, a new at-home extreme workout video will come out. These workouts attempt to increase intensity by increasing the speed of exercise. You jump, you sprint, you flail around, and you work up a sweat, but you do not work all your muscle fibers, and you do set yourself up to get seriously injured. When you exercise smarter, you will be completely exhausted in a matter of seconds. That's intense. You will do that by moving in an extremely slow and controlled manner. That's safe. You will put zero impact on your joints. That's sustainable. You will be sore for several days after a single short workout. That's effective. Smarter exercise actually does what these videos claim to do, and it does so dramatically more safely and sustainably. It may be helpful to think of these videos and other extreme forms of exercise a bit like cutting your hair with a chainsaw. It may sort of work, but it also carries with it excessive and unnecessary risk. Also, if these exercises were as potent as they claim, why would you need to do them 5 to 7 days per week, 40 to 60 minutes at a time? Think about the potency of exercise as being like the potency of an ingredient in a recipe. We do not need a large quantity of potent things. And if we do need a lot of something, then it's not potent. Eccentric exercise done for a few minutes once per week actually is potent exercise. To be fair, quite a few young athletic people swear by these extreme exercise regimens. If you enjoy extreme exercise and can do it safely without craving starches and sweets or skimping on your eccentrics, then by all means enjoy. Let's just make sure we're doing what's best for our health and fitness for the rest of our lives. When it comes to evaluating the long-term efficacy of exercise, there are 3 primary criteria to look at. Priority 1, safety. Priority 2, sustainability. Priority 3, resistance. Safety. If an exercise technique isn't safe, it's counterproductive. Let's say that Tom slips a disc in his back while powerlifting and can't resistance train effectively for the rest of his life. Some people like to say, pain is temporary and pride is forever. As someone who is part of a state championship Ohio football team and also blew my knee out 3 times playing sports, I can tell you that pride is temporary and pain is forever. Talking about my high school successes grew old many years ago, but my knee still hurts. Sustainability. If an exercise technique isn't sustainable, it risks being counterproductive. Back in my football days, we did workouts at 6 a.m. and then again in the afternoon. Both of these workouts made mainstream extreme workouts look relaxing. Vomiting and passing out were quite common. Today, just about every one of my teammates and I no longer train even close to that way, either because we got hurt doing it or because it was so absurd that it spoiled exercise for us. This is one of the reasons why so many former athletes become obese. Unsustainable approaches can lead to burnout and complete exercise avoidance long term. Resistance. Increasing exercise resistance versus duration or frequency is the key to hormonal healing. If an exercise technique doesn't allow you to easily add resistance, the only way to increase intensity is to do the movement faster, and that is a recipe for injury. This is why running isn't as good as stationary biking when it comes to smarter exercise. After all, it's quite difficult to safely add a lot of resistance while running. Before you try any new exercise program, I strongly recommend asking yourself 3 questions. 1. Does this put safety first? 2. Can I do this for the rest of my life? 3. Can I increase resistance without increasing risk? If you answer no to any of these questions, you may want to stick with eccentrics and smarter intervals. New section. If you take nothing else from this book, please remember this statement. There will never be a magic exercise fad or magic pill that comes close to providing the health and physique benefits you will get from eating so many non starchy vegetables, nutrient dense protein, and whole food fats that you are too full for starches and sweets. Why do I say this? At least 95% of people avoided obesity and over 99% avoided diabetes for all of human history before insert name of new pill or magic cure existed. Remember, slim is simple, but there is a massive amount of money to be made convincing us otherwise. Until we achieve baseline health and fitness, anyone or anything who makes eating and exercise seem more complex than focusing on higher quality sane food and doing less but higher quality exercise should be ignored. Otherwise, you will end up heavier, sicker, and with a lot less money in the long term. Of course, if you are already healthy and fit and now want to achieve unnaturally low levels of body fat or world class athletic performance, you should absolutely get out your credit card and get ready for some complexity. But if your goal is simply to be slim and healthy for the rest of your life, the most effective way to do that is to keep things simple, sane, eccentric, and inexpensive. New section. We've learned the science of the set point. We've seen how we can eat more, but saner and burn fat. And we've discovered how we can exercise less, but smarter by getting eccentric and by doing smarter intervals. Now that you know how to make your body transform itself by eating sane and exercising smarter, it's time to make your mind transform itself by thinking smarter. Just as putting high quality food into your body dramatically enhances your ability to reach your goals, putting high quality thoughts into your mind dramatically enhances your ability to reach your goals as well. The next part of this book covers a specific 5-week plan that will create a beautiful mind along with a beautiful body and empower you along a lifetime of previously unimaginable vitality.